Okay, April 20th. April 20th of 2026. Can you hear what's going on? It's 7:30 in the morning. 7:30 in the morning. I don't know what's going on down there, but it's pretty clanging. Yeah. Can't see the mountain no more. Nope. Can't see the mountain no more. Now you know you got a whole lot of people spying out of their windows. Some of those windows will have energy weapons. Set up. Yep. And spyware and all that shit. Okay, just listen to this. That's in my backyard, going through the alley, when it's not in the front with something else. And each and every single unit has plastic piping in it that if the not the right kind of water, in terms of chlorinated and whatever they use for chemicals to purify water, isn't running through those plastic pipes, those pipes become poisonous over time because of the plastic. And then factor in $3 clips because they're legal to install under builder grade code, even though they're defective, and cost homeowners or property owners or whatever you want to call them tens of thousands of dollars in restoration costs after the fact of those clips degrading very, very quickly and then springing and causing leaks, if not floods. And that's not including the heating systems, the heating cooling systems that they've been installing, where I think 60% are defective and costing, again, homeowners and property owners tens of thousands of dollars, but only in this case it's $50,000 to $70,000 if it can even be repaired or replaced, because they're built right into the buildings as they go to try and fix something that doesn't work. And then yada 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 yada. April 23rd, 21st, 2026, 5:30 in the morning. Shit's booming and banging out here. Fucking creepy. Fucking creepy. complaining about this table. This table is solid as a rock. Not moving anywhere. Just the tabletop that's rotten because this shit leaks water everywhere. Up in there. We'll do it in the daylight. Okay, so I was going to do another video here. I wanted to do a live stream because it's easier in some kind of ways. Because otherwise I have to import the videos from this camcorder onto there. And I have to listen to each and every one because if a frame freezes for whatever reason because the camera is old, then I have to go and import it again through the camera itself, through the editor, so that it can play properly. And then I have to put everything together. Then I have to convert it over to a format that I can upload to YouTube. Oh my God. Yeah. But I don't know. Sometimes it's better to do it this way because, you know, that last live that I did, people, listen, I didn't expect that to happen. What's the date today? April 22nd of 2022. What am I doing at right now, currently, 10 minutes to 11 a.m. And I've been doing it for a while now, which is hard on me, but I have to find time to do it. And it takes a very long time to do it. And then it goes back to that default, well, when the shit hits the fan, right? You just use what you got and don't worry about what you didn't get done. That's the thing. And it's no way to live, okay? But at the same time, there are no guarantees in life. You're either going to stand for something or you're not. You're either going to be a pushover or you're going to, you know, go down swinging, and maybe you'll make a difference for a whole lot of other people. Yeah, maybe. You might not be able to save yourself, but maybe those behind you that are facing the same problem, because this is a huge problem that I'm working on, and right now I'm looking at a video because I'm typing out the timeline based on my videos and whatever was going on at that time, yada yada yada. I've taken it right back to the first part of the year of this year, 2026, and I'm only on video number 2. And the title of that video is I want to cry, but that's okay. If I drop a few tears, it's probably good for me. I eat a lot of salt and drink a lot of sugar, so okay, I'm on the video. I want to take the Punjabi Sikhs to court January 8th of 2026, and it's video number 2, and I've already got 50 videos up. All right, and what I do is I listen to the video, and if I feel it's pertinent to my cause, whatever that cause is, because it hasn't been determined yet, because today, for whatever reason, I'm thinking, well, if you're going to file a lawsuit, it's going to be more than just the Landlords and Tenancy Act branch if this shit keeps up. And if I get arrested for being stubborn and not, then they have to drag me out of here in handcuffs to throw me out because they want to lock up the house. If it gets to that bitter pill, well, then I'm in criminal court. And then once you're in criminal court, I don't know, from what I can tell, you seem to have more power as a quote-unquote defendant to the injuries of whatever those injuries are in regards to why you're in criminal court. Okay? Criminals get more protection, more services, they get trials, they get juries, you know what I mean? there's more opportunity to have a chance in criminal court than if you just simply file a civil lawsuit against Fraser Health Authority, CIBC Bank, the province of British Columbia, Canada, with the Attorney General and Public Safety Solicitor Attorney General. Or you could do it to the Gill family, or you could do it to the Sikh family. You know, if it's just simply a civil lawsuit against the Sikh temple, that's a joke. That's a joke, because all these lawyers, they come in already bought and paid for, right along with the freaking judges. It's cat and mouse with them. It's a slam dunk, because they're corrupt. The procedure is easy for them to ignore, tweak, twist, manipulate to their advantage. But you shouldn't let that stop you if you're going to die anyway. Right. All right. So, okay, I'm at a part in the video where I'm halfway through the video, because I listen and then I type. I'm going to read you what's on my mind, but before I started, you know, I have to take this serious. And I'm like, okay, organize it in your mind first, Judy. And I don't care if that lawyer grandson is watching this video, taking freaking notes so that he can do his little slam dunk against me when the time comes, because it's affordable to him, because, quote unquote, he's a lawyer. So it ain't costing anything for him to represent himself, right? And you know his buddies are going to step up to the plate and help him for free, because that's what they do, especially if it's, like, you know, going to crack the ceiling and bring change on a provincial level. At some point, maybe in the future. That's the whole point of taking the Sikh temple to court, is to bring change on a provincial level and hopefully on a national level. But of course, I couldn't do that by myself. But I could probably crank the wheel. I'm just trying to crank the wheel before I die. Let me remind you of that, because this crap isn't funny. If I wanted to grow up to be a lawyer, I would have done that. But I didn't. I don't know what the hell I wanted to be. A nice person, and it doesn't get you anywhere in life. All right, so anyway, I'm listening now. I'm halfway into the video now. I'm at 16:01. I don't want to play it right because I'm listening. And I'm like, okay, how can I take what I said and write it into my quote-unquote lawsuit? It's not so much for the Landlords and Tenancy Act branch as it would be for a lawsuit. And the more I am being gang-stalked, threatened, harassed, intimidated through extortion, have my belongings taken away from me illegally without due process, which would bring you into the Property Act, which I know I have a copy of that around the house somewhere. So I have to organize my legislation, even though it might be a little outdated. You know, for the most part, it reads the same, except for maybe a few things changed along the way over a course of years. But outside, the principle remains the same. The problem with that, though, is you have the legislation where in the legislation it's written on behalf of the public, where we're supposed to have certain rights and we're supposed to be able to exercise on those rights. And then if those rights get infringed, we should be able to take it to court and have our governments to correct the wrongs that were placed upon us. You know, you make the wrong right. That's what they say in court. You take the wrong to make it right. But that's not, we are in a world of satanic illusions where the court is only being used as an illusion to foster criminal activity, other heinous acts, as in covering them up. Unless, of course, it's something to their benefit in a criminal court of law where they want to put somebody on trial as an example to keep all the other, right? To say that that's, they're doing something. But, when it comes to them committing the crime, the government, the government agency like Fraser Health Authority, or the bank, right? Bigger institutions, or in this case, it would be a organized religion that acts as a separatist group. Although they would probably disagree in a court of law, and that's where I have to show otherwise. And even if I did, and I came in with legislation on a provincial level, or the Criminal Code of Canada, or the Human Charter of Freedom of Rights and Charter of Freedom and Rights, or Human Rights, whatever that's called, right? Which is kind of obsolete anyway. Whoever's in the courthouse with them, whether it's the judge, whatever other lawyer will be there as support to the lawyer that's fighting against the lawsuit, quote unquote, even though it's a slam dunk for them and it's just something for them to joke about after it's all said and done, in terms of what a foolish girl I was to even thought I could try and do anything like that. It's backroom deals. And they'll ignore no matter what I put in front of them, even though it's written black and white, right there in the legislation, right there in the criminal code. Been there, done that already 2 times, 3 times with this crap when Uncle John got medically kidnapped and yada-de-yada. But at the same time, this is a runaway train wreck for tens of thousands, really millions of people, where there's no brakes on it. And I don't expect to put a big ass brake on a big problem, but I also don't expect to be mowed over by a runaway train where, well, I don't want to say it like this, but where basically 84-year-old woman can come into your yard and just start throwing everything around and telling you to get rid of this and rid of that, and she doesn't like that planter pot, and going into the garage. And I'm going to show you the table that she was pointing at that she wants us to get rid of, to which it's, because it looks ugly and it's cracking up, and well, that's only because your garage leaks. Have you ever stopped to think about that? The freaking whatever, and I'm going to show you what's on top and how it leaks. But the thing is, the frame itself is metal underneath, and it's sturdy and it's strong. And whatever top it has, yeah, it was Presto wood, and over time with the water dripping on it, and and yada-de-yada, it's, what that does, it swells and it cracks, and there's little wood chips on top, and but at the same time, you can't even move that table. So whatever's on it ain't going nowhere. And when you clear it off, once you wash it, it will probably be suffice for however long. And if you really doesn't like it, if it's really that bad and you can't use it anymore, all you have to do is take off the tabletop, and I would think put on another one. It doesn't warrant throwing out the whole thing because you don't like the way it looks. Or anything else for that matter. Like, how many times do you have to harass me over a stroller that I need for Amari? Yeah, you don't fix the fence because you want to look and see and complain and have people come in and out and plant things here and move things there, and and set the stage for this, and or whatever, rob me here, rob me there, plan to gut the yard for what? To take me to court? What you gonna get out of me? You might as well pay for it, because there is no money, because they have already on the verge of making it where I can't afford anything right now because all my money's going to their shit, paying their rent. Right? I'm holding down the hydros and the gas so that, blah, 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 or whatever, and I wanted to go buy that new skill saw and the pitchfork, and, and I'm kind of nervous. Now I'm kind of nervous because why? I don't know what's coming in another day or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or a week from now or in 2 months from now or in a month or 6 months from now. I don't know who's coming. I don't know who's meaner. You know, I mean, how many mean people live in one family unit? Like, it seems to be almost like everybody's freaking mean. And the more they come, the meaner they get. And the sicker I get, and the thinner I get, and the weaker I get, and the blinder I get. So that becomes personal injury. So I woke up this morning thinking, you know, maybe you should be filing it under personal injury. Think about personal injury. Like, what are you trying to do here, Judy? Being that you're in this corner and you know, it's either lay down and die and just let them kick the shit out of you until there's nothing left and your guts are all over the place, or you try and figure out a way to navigate through all the abuse that you're getting and fight back. And the only way you can legally fight back in Canada, per se, unless you want to be a criminal, is through court, even though the court is corrupt, right? So I'm like, personal injury, because I went to go see my eye doctor. Here's a perfect example. This is what making me think about personal injury. I went and seen my eye doctor yesterday, right? This one, it dropped down to 11%. So whatever roller coaster I was on it with after the surgery has calmed down, and the tube itself seems to be working at 11% with 1 drop a day, right? So there you can say mission accomplished, but the problem with that, though, is the eye is deteriorating really bad, really fast. And it more than likely has a lot to do with being overworked and overstressed. And that's just a fact. And yeah, I got my doctor to admit that overworking, especially after surgeries and all this shit, not a good idea. So I got injured after surgery from overworking, whether it's in the yard at the request of, or having to deal with the basement with mice that nobody's helping me with except the cats, basically, and Andre setting a few sticky traps around and me putting down some whatever mouse food that they don't, you know, that should kill them eventually, right? And but you know, I don't even have time to do that because I have to go outside. I get up in the morning thinking about going outside with the dishes in the sink and the laundry, and I got to do this and I got to do, you know, there's things I got to do. But you know, then okay, so all right, so I'm like, personal injury, okay, because he wants to do surgery in this eye, being because it went back up to 39, and I'm losing a little more of that whatever I've got left on this side of it. Right? Because the pressure is always, always high. And he's afraid that even though the pressure's low on this one, he figures sooner or later it will go black. Because that's what's happening. Right? It's getting worse and worse and worse, even though the pressure's down now. And I said that to him yesterday, like, what the hell's going on? But we already knew. They can only slow it down. They can't stop it. So he's afraid that it will go completely black eventually. And he wants to do the tube in this eye so that he can try and save, 2%, pushing on 1%. That's how much I got in this eye to see. Where just a little bit over here, in terms of a little bit of light, I can see my hand moving, but I can't see how many fingers are up. I mean, I can feel, but if you ask me, I couldn't tell you. All I see is just, I don't know. He equates it to, if you can't see nothing out of this eye, and only a teeny weeny little something way over here, what little you can see will help you to distinguish between day and night, so that my brain can still somewhat be hardwired around that little teeny weeny bit of daylight that I can see. Otherwise, it's going to go completely black. And with the pressure being really high, he wants to do the surgery like this side, being that this side, but I can't go through that again, people. I said, you crazy? Oh yeah, sure. I told him I'm being gang-stalked by my landlords and stuff and whatever. Like, they're trying to evict me. Anybody I talk to, social workers, freaking them, doctor, whatever, you know. This is not a game. Like, this is serious shit that they're putting me through. And, you know, I'm working. They got me in the yard 7 hours squatting down like whatever, doing this, doing that, and no, still not satisfied. And now they want me to rip up and pay some more. Doesn't matter who I'm paying as long as I'm paying. And then say if I pay my son, I'm paying too much. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. You didn't want to pay my son to take down those stairs. I paid my son to take down those stairs. You didn't want to pay my son to go take the freaking rotten wood from those stairs to the dump. I did that. So don't tell me that my son is charging me too much money when you didn't even want to pay him and they were your stairs. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Outside of. And then you tell me to move everything over there, and then once it's over there, go over there and start tossing everything around, telling me that you don't like it there, and you want me to get rid of it and start throwing and threatening and bring in more bins and have your guys come in and I have to pay for it, and I'm supposed to just sit here and ignore the severity around what they're saying and how they're treating me. It becomes personal injury because I can't do the surgery, people. I can't. It's impossible. I can't risk them doing that surgery and then them springing to action saying, well, you got to do this and you got to move. And now we're coming in with this and you know what I mean? And they got me bending and lifting and twisting and, or who knows, maybe they'll call the fucking sheriff on me, throw my ass out. I just had surgery 2 weeks ago or whatever. Like, this shit that they did with the tube is not a freaking joke. And yeah, I started working way too freaking fast. Second or third day downstairs cleaning up fucking mouse shit. You know, trying to work around the freaking... I was working in the laundry room. And I still haven't got a chance to caught up with nothing. So I'm like, personal injury, well, that's a joke. Because I'm like, well, how can I get a lawyer to help me with this? One way, we're not like the United States of America. We don't have civil rights lawyers that fight for human rights out here. Unless, of course, maybe in the Toronto area in the east, where the bigger cities and, but if they do, it would only be for that particular ethnic group that they represent. In other words, if the Muslims had a problem with institutional racism or whatever, or being targeted or whatever, their lawyers within their ethnic group would maybe take it to court under human rights tribunal or something against so-and-so to establish, equal opportunity for all or whatever the hell it is, right? Same thing with any other ethnic group. But to go and just ask some lawyer that maybe does that kind of stuff out here in British Columbia, Canada, good luck. They're only interested in car injuries. That's where the money's at. You get into a car accident, they'll just take you like that. But anybody else? Hell no. No. Well, if you're employed, if you're an employee to so-and-so big corporation or company or whatever, and you get injured on the job, then yeah, maybe the lawyer might take that case because, depending on the injury and what corporation and how much money they have. But, I'm not doing it for no money, people. I'm doing it for principle and for justice and to fucking leave me alone. Let me live my damn life outside of on the damn street with nothing. Right? And that's assuming I even survive. So yeah, I can't do the surgery. I can't. I told them it's impossible. They got me working here doing this, doing that, and I haven't even got a handle on the damn basement. And I'm already not feeling very well. Why would I do surgery for them to really screw me over? Because, they don't care. So there you go. Is that not personal injury if this eye goes completely black because my landlords are preventing me from actually getting fucking what little medical attention that I'm at least willing to, do, right? In terms of, like Dr. DeSano, what did he want me to do? Oh, go take a mammogram and go do this and do this and do, I'm like, I don't need a mammogram. What the hell? Why are you bugging me for a mammogram? That's not, I came for I don't know, when they did the first surgery, they wanted to hear my heart to make sure, I guess my heart was okay. But when I called up that doctor and I said, okay, I'm having the surgery for this eye and, they want me to come in and have a little mini, what is that called? Physical. He wanted to turn it into a whole blown $10,000, $20,000. Let's do this test. I'm like, forget it. In the end, I never did. I never got nothing. My eye doctor made it just so I could go in and do my eye surgery without a single test. Yeah. It was unnecessary. So I didn't waste no taxpayers' dollars because, I'm looking for something wrong. I don't need to look for it. I can already see it. I already know how I feel. I already know what I'm having to do. And, like, I was in the mode, but I have to budget it in with my time. Anyway, I don't think personal injury would work. I'm going to take the Sikh temple to court for personal injury. Well, I can write in personal injury. I can do some research on personal injury. I can fine-tune it and hone it down to the type of personal injury that I face compared to what people face with a car accident or being injured on the job site. When I'm here at this house, my job was to be a landscaper in a yard that required extreme yard maintenance. However, I was never paid for my labor. That would be my coming in point, and then figuring out how it ends up becoming personal injury based on the past of how I was treated and what I was expected to do and what the rewards were around my labor, which was basically work until you practically drop and maybe we'll let you stay. So that's how I ended up being outside 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day for month after month until they were, I guess, satisfied and backed off. But I was still working because in those days I was working on solving drainage problems. I was working on solving weed problems. I was working on solving a sand pit problem. I was working on solving a freaking, raccoons pooing here, there, and everywhere, or whatever problem. I was working on a landfill problem when it came to a big backyard with absolutely no assistance from the landlord, okay? I just wasn't getting paid for it. My reward was I was allowed to stay and continue to work until they decided to call the city on me to make me work faster. That is personal injury because it accumulated injuries in me. And they're still fueling it with bird feeders and shit and tables that if I put a new table out there, it's just going to get ruined because of the rain rotting, dripping from the rotten porch. That porch was rotten when I moved in. That's why my son changed a whole bunch of beams. As a matter of fact, it might still need a couple more beams changed. Yeah. As the flooring is rotting out. Because what they did is they had some cedar flooring. And then I don't know if they just put, I think they had, first it was cedar flooring, then I think they put plywood on top to cover it up, and then that vinyl crap that never spoils, or whatever. But when I moved in, they had plastic tarped underneath the rafters in the garage because that cedar siding was dropping down all the time. I have videos of that, right? And then I tried to run soffits up in there to keep the cedar siding from dropping down. The wood was continuing to deteriorate and rot and yada yada yada. And through that process, my son and his friends, they had to change some beams, otherwise that thing would have came crashing down, right? And then with that though, it leaks. Some places more than others. So that table, if it looks ugly, it's only because the garage leaks. And it was water damage caused by them, if you want to call it that. Right? But it doesn't give Mrs. Gill the right to come in and use that as an excuse to cause trouble, threaten me and intimidate me and scare me and tell me to get rid of it. And if I don't, she's having her guys come in to do it and I'm going to be forced to pay for it. Well, the lawyer grandson's going to come in and said, that's it, I'm done. I've had enough. Even though I just got the house 2 weeks ago, I'm done. Get your ass out, because that's all I need is just, right? Because based on what he's reading, yeah, well, wait until you read what I'm writing. Wait until you read into what I write. And yeah, if it goes, like, I'm thinking about the Sikh temple right now. Right now. Okay? It's hard. I'm going to read a little bit. And then I'm just going to go outside after with the camera, look for my birdhouses. I don't know where they are. She threw them. Look for my beanpole. I don't know where it is. She threw it. Show you that table in the garage that she wants us to throw out, even though it was her rotten porch, leaky porch, that ruined that table. And honestly, the table's not that bad in terms of being sturdy. And for where it's at and what it's being used for, it's perfectly fine. Until maybe when the summer clears out and gets nice and warm and, you know, we want to do something else maybe in the garage or whatever, because, you know, whatever, you know, then we'll tackle that problem, if it's even a problem. Or maybe we'll just pull everything out, give it a good sweep, give it a good disinfectant, wash down, whatever. If we need to change the tabletop, we'll change the tabletop. Table can go back and problem will be solved by the end of fall. If I can't get it done by the end of fall, well, that doesn't mean still doesn't give you the right to go in there and take that table, because I didn't get a chance to do it because I was too busy doing something in the front, or too busy chasing this or chasing that or whatever, not including my daily rigmarole with that heart of steel, having to deal with the needs of Amari and also Andre and just this house in general. Sitting here working on this shit is frying out my eyes. That's personal injury, not to mention having to go outside and do stupid shit. That's personal injury, especially when it's on a level of being extreme. Being forced to pay people, because if I don't, I will be double charged and it will be a bill that will be held over my head. And if it goes to court, it's a slam dunk for them, because they're the victims, they're the landlords, because the court system itself is corrupt. But it still shouldn't stop you from trying and bringing awareness to the corruption. Okay? And that's how I convince myself to continue doing this stupid shit. And brace myself to go completely freaking blind because of it. Because you know I can't do the surgery to save the 1% that I got left in this eye. So that I know when it's daytime and I know when it's nighttime, when this eye completely blinks out on me, which is going faster and faster and faster. Because that whip is whoosh, 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 whoosh. And that's an institutional problem within the Sikh temple, being that they like to be the leaders in a community. In the province. They're the biggest and baddest in the community when it comes to their politics, their religion, their morality, their wealth building tactics, their educated workforce, or whatever, their worth as a human being when it comes to a caste system where they're above and everybody else that they don't like is below. Okay. So, I'm thinking, okay, well, there's definitely personal injury in there. How I'm going to write this shit, where I write it, I know it's not going to be taken serious, but I'm going to try and figure out a way to do it one way or another. I will attempt to phone around for personal injury lawyers in British Columbia, Canada, but I can guarantee you I won't find one because they all just want car accidents and work injuries from corporations where the money is in the bag. Where the money is in the bag. Okay. So in relation to this video that I'm looking at right now, okay, so I'm going to read this little bit that I wrote this morning. The point of the landlord telling Judy, and this video was done in January 8th of 2026, because this has been going on for a very, very long time. Only now it's being done with malicious intent that is excessive, because they're trying to go for that knockout. Get rid of her belongings regarding of what they... Okay. The point of the landlord telling Judy to get rid of her belongings regardless of what they are is so that it would become easier and cheaper to evict Judy and her family from the property, being that the housing market is being manipulated on a district level by the majority of property owners who rent gouge for no other reason than to turn a profit, and because they can rent gouge. All right? Just trying to wrap my head around this crap, people. When one landlord rent gouges to manipulate the rental market, other landlords use that opportunity to further rent gouge and increase rents exponentially, where tenants become vulnerable to harassment, threats, gang stalking activities that ultimately I could have done a whole string, but I didn't. And gang stalking activities. Well, I should put activities, not just okay, let's just do activities. That ultimately lead to an illegal eviction. They would say the illegal eviction is up for debate, but because nothing holds them to account, in a broader sense, that's why they get away with it. Whereas if you take them into a Supreme Court, whoever with the temple, right? Then you're holding the temple to account, I should say, to the doctrines within the separatist group that fosters, well, So how, I guess it really depends on how deep you want to go with the legislation when it comes to illegal activity. It's illegal to seize people's property without due process. Plain and simple. But it's easy for them to do it because they hide behind a city bylaw officer. And because they got away with it once, they think they can do it again, without the bylaw officer. For the end goal is to evict the tenant, right? And then so that they can double and triple the rent. And continue doing what they do. With a landlord... Oh, sorry. With a large majority of property owners... Okay, now you have to remember, if you were to take the Sikh temple to court, how would you do it? Well, what would you say? That's what I'm sitting here, like, what would you, how would you, how would you do it, right? With a large majority of property owners holding the title of being Punjabi, who have rental units who have rental units in Surrey as well as in the Fraser Valley area and including across British Columbia, Canada. You notice how I put that in there. One temple represents all temples, regardless of whether, as you go through the line, some of them become really extreme with the Kelsas and the Calistine and, right? Doesn't matter. But it's a systemic problem. It's just some are more extreme than others within that quote-unquote ethnic group. Okay, let's start again. With a large majority of property owners holding the title of being Punjabi, who have rental units in Surrey, as well as in the Fraser Valley area, and including across British Columbia, Canada. The problem with rent gouging that is displacing tens of thousands of lives, and including the lives of Judy's family, and that's the whole point. I have to represent myself, but if you notice, I didn't forget the other tens of thousands of lives that are also being rent gouged, okay? Because of one upping the rent with everybody else jumping on board, is that part of the problem stems from institutional racism within the Sikh temple as a collective group that chooses to act as a separatist group for profit and other gains where Punjabis can benefit within the underground economy. All right, I stopped the video and now I'm getting into the illegal organ harvesting of Shimei and how it was a Punjabi who doted over a body for 9 days that was dead after her organs were illegally removed in a hospital setting 7 hours after it being transported to the hospital dead. All right. And then illegally embalmed. All right. Which I can basically prove in a court of law if I had a lawyer that could actually help me with that, where all those corrupt individuals around me would have no choice but to look at the evidence and go from there, right, in terms of make a wrong right. But they don't want to, and that's why the judges and the lawyers and all these guys, they're all bought off and paid for, because it's big money. You're talking millions and billions of dollars in illegal organ harvesting. But in regards to who's doing it. Well, there's only certain kind of people that can pay for organs, first of all, right? And if you've got Punjabi gynecologists driving in from Vancouver, which is a 45-hour drive, to dote over a dead body to play like, whatever, to cover up illegal organ harvesting and murder. There is no statute of limitation on murder, right? Then that's a problem, okay? Especially when they're wearing the turbans, going to the temple with their bling after the fact. And that's why I never got no justice for Shimei or Sierra. Never mind Uncle John, what happened to Amari. But in this case, we're talking about Shimei. So do I write down Dr. Barr's name on this, being that it may go to court? And they need to pull his ass into court and explain to the court why I would even suggest such a thing, and be prepared to see my evidence to prove my point that the Punjabis are participating in murder by condoning it, by covering it up, by setting the stage where families fail, whatever, to gang stalking activities, energy weapons, voice to skull, who knows, right? But either or, they definitely got their workers within the system. That's what Dr. Barr represents. He's the worker within the Surrey Memorial Hospital who does the dirty deed so that those organs can go back into the separatist group who can afford to pay them so that they can be the leader of the pack when it comes to the majority who controls the province, when it comes to wealth and pedigree. They're more important than anybody else on the planet because they're Punjabi and they own this and own that. Temple as a collective group that chooses to act as a separatist group for profit and other gains where Punjabis can benefit within the underground economy. So now I'm going to listen more to that little video and I'm going to type in, this is a serious problem when you have taxpayers paid doctors who are Punjabi participating in illegal acts to not only cover up murder but also illegally harvest organs. And then say, we don't commit crime when we're trying to illegally evict you as a collective from house to house to house. Like, how do you write this shit down where it's pertinent to you, but you don't leave everybody else behind? That's what I'm trying to say. Because ultimately it does. It becomes a personal injury. They are preventing me from having surgery again. I did the surgery anyway. I knew what the hell was going on with the basement, whatever, being flooded and workers having to come in and there was mice and my son was moving out. But I was so scared that if I didn't do the surgery, I'd be blind now, because my doctor told me if I didn't get the pressure under the eye on this, the pressure under control on this eye, within 2 months, I'd be blind. So he had me double dropping with 2 different drops and all this 3 times a day, right? Like 3 drops a day, 2 and 2 and 1, right? Just to try and keep the pressure down, but it really wasn't working. So that's why the surgery came in. And then all of a sudden the basement, booking the surgery, right? And for this eye, right? With that tube and stuff. And then the basements get flooded and like, if they're so concerned about their insurance, why don't they go after the freaking plumbers? It was the plumbers that showed up late. It was the plumbers that didn't do their job properly. Why are you trying to blame the city or anybody else for that matter when it's your guys that are the ones that effed up, just like they effed up when they broke the mainline pipe in the front and then turn around and quote unquote charged you $5,000. Yeah, well, whatever. They should give you back half your freaking money for your insurance claim. Plain and simple. There you go. There's your problem solved, because it was the plumbers that effed up. They took 29 hours to do what needed to be done in 10 minutes if they would have shown up the first time at the right time and done their job correctly. And that's just the bottom line. And trust me, I will be writing that into this lawsuit, because all they did was create a whole lot of stress, set the stage where I became the bad one because I'm not doing this fast enough. I'm not doing this fast enough. And yada yada. They're preventing me from doing what I need to do. So yeah, if I had to do it. I had no choice, people. I had no freaking choice, because he told me if we don't get it under, you're gonna lose your eyesight in 2 months. And trust me, I already went through it with this shit, right? Just the whole 9 yards. And yeah, that's what happens. You wake up one day, and it's like, whoa, what happened? You don't even really notice it until it happens, in terms of, going foggy and then once you're at that stage, then it just gets more foggy, lose more color, see more in black and white, becomes more blurry, things just, right? And then eventually it just go blink. And he's afraid this one's, because it's not stopping. The pressure's down, so it's going to slow down a bit, but it's not stopping. And obviously, the harder I work, the worse it gets. Doesn't, right? It can't stop that from happening, because whatever. And, but I can't do this eye. No way. I can't trust that I won't get attacked over the next 6 months for this to even happen. For something, anything, could be anything. It could be the bird feeders again, for all I know. It could be bean poles. It could be a planter pot that I didn't move, even though I threw out another 20 more, or emptied them and hid them like a damn dirty secret, and I left one out. That's all it's going to take. A table that is nobody's business, right? And if you want to take it there, it was your rotten freaking porch that ruined it. But we're not complaining. We're trying to live with it. We understand that shit gets whatever, right? We're happy to have some porch versus no porch, but for them, they want a brand new freaking porch. And if it can't be brand new, they want it completely empty so it looks like it's brand new, even though the damn thing is ready to fall apart. Yeah, and the only people that's made it so it hasn't fallen apart is us. And then we put up with everything else. Okay, so that's where I'm at with this right now. And of course, I'm thinking about Mr. Gill, and I'm thinking about Mr. Gill's funeral. And I'm with Andre sitting there and I sitting there, with us looking into the room where everybody was going in for their prayers and yada yada, right? One man, he came and he sat down right in front of the computer. And he knew I was recording, and he looking, and he doing whatever, and he didn't move. He sat there for actually quite a long time. It's almost like he wanted to be in the picture. And I kind of want to pull up the video and show you, because when he was doing it, I was like, that's unusual. I had a feel like I had met him before, not like per se face to face, but I think this man, I've gone to a few City of Surrey, when they were voting for mayor and all this crap, right? Or whatever, outside, or whatever, or when they had their once a year, I can't remember what it's called, where they, they all come together in memory of the 100 years ago when they came to Canada, and the Canadian, I get so paranoid when I hear shit outside. The Canadian government wouldn't allow them to come on shore and kept them out at sea. Well, they fought at sea to have the right to migrate to Canada. This was over 100 years ago, right? I swear. That's what I mean. I can't have surgery. She wants me to get rid of my garbage bin. Just like that table. I said, I need that second one. We've had it for years. I don't know what the hell. All of a sudden, why? We're only allowed one. I said, no, I need it sometimes because it overflow with diapers with Amari or just whatever, right? Just anything to cause trouble. I took Andre to that one time when he was little. Or I went to an all-mayor candidate meeting. With the girls when they were alive. Did video on that. Somewhere, I've met him somewhere doing some kind of community activism. I don't know what kind of community activism it was, but he was just way too comfortable and was trying to connect with me in a kind of roundabout way to say, hey, I remember you. And I'm like, we must have met. Unless, of course, it was in another life, like with Mr. Gill. Mr. Gill, we were both reincarnated. We've been with each other in another life. You're my sister from another life. That's why I call you my sister today. I'm like, oh, well, I do believe in reincarnation. I do believe that some souls are more older than other souls. So I just feel like there was a connection there with that man. And I don't feel it was like a bad connection, because I can only imagine what it would be like to be a man in a community like that, where you're an independent man with independent thoughts, independent opinions, maybe a bit of a freedom fighter, maybe a straight up freedom fighter. I don't know. The point is you're a justice warrior right down to the core in the true meaning of those words. But your community as a whole doesn't respect it because they basically want to oppress you so they can control you, being that's the only way they can profiteer and stay on course as they quote-unquote ruling majority group, because you don't want those dissenters. So, I don't know what his fascination was outside of, if he ever's watching my videos and he knows who I'm talking about, I'm not going to blast his face. It's on that video. He's on that video. It's not its face. It's his face is on the video where I was at the funeral for Mr. Gill. And he did. He sat purposely down. He looked at the camera. He wasn't scared. He wasn't afraid. He wasn't shy. He wasn't intimidated. He wasn't insulted. I didn't get any of those kind of feelings from him. If anything, he has a voice, and I don't know if it's just me trying to fool myself, thinking he wants to start a revolution with an ex-solution to make it a better province for everybody. You know what I mean? Like that true justice warrior stuff, right? Or if I just feel like he was an independent from the collective, where he himself wasn't satisfied with what's going on a primal level, I guess you could say, where as a friend to Mr. Gill, with Mr. Gill kind of, trying to be independent himself and not so wrapped up in with the doctrine and having to conform to the religion itself in order to establish seniority and wealth and authority and all this other crap. There's consequences for people like that within the Punjabi community. You get outcasted, you get expelled. Well, lots of religions do that. If you don't follow the religion, that's it. We're kicking your ass out of the religion. So there's a fine line in there. So anyway, maybe I'll run into him again if this stuff gets to that level. And he'll approach me. And he'll be like, oh, I remember you. You were at Mr. Gill's funeral. And I'll be like, yeah, I remember you. You were right in front of my camera. You know what I'm saying? Even though I can't see you, I can feel you. And there was a reason for that, because you sure in hell weren't shy. And honestly, I do feel that if he had an opportunity to say something, he would have said it. Yeah. And once you get him talking, you don't know what else he's going to talk about, right? Because, you know, these guys, some of them are very, very smart. And not everybody agrees with the crowd. I'm going up against the crowd. Not so much the individual, because I'm not trying to broad sweep and judge each and everybody as a culprit to the crowd. All I know is, you know, my situation is not a good situation, and yeah. So I ain't doing the surgery. That becomes personal injury based on the gang stalking techniques that are being held against me at this point. So this is video number 52. It's going to take me a long time to backtrack, listen to it, and type the shit down, because you know I don't got time to sit there and type what I just said. I got time to sit there and talk about it, to put it out there, to document it. But when you sit down and you actually start to type it, and you got to figure out what the hell and how you're going to say it, where it makes sense, but again, it just ends up being a joke. I already went through this with Uncle John. I went through it with Fraser Health Authority, CIBC Bank, and I went through it with the provincial government, with the Attorney General. The Public Solicitor Attorney General, they didn't even answer me. Yeah. And anything else that happened, I don't know. They never sent me anything in the mail. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to end it on this, just to show you that I'm serious. Okay? Do you see that? June 5th at 11:05 a.m. But we're not reading it. We're just going to go down the line. I have to just find the pointer. Where is it? Oh, my Lord. I think it's right there. Okay, watch. Can you see? Do you think they want to read all that? They would call me frivolous, a waste of the court's time. Right? Do you see all this? Now, mind you, it's in 14 font because, you know, it's hard on my eyes. Do you see this? I'm still going. That's why I say, don't worry about what I don't have. Just use what I do have. Yeah. This takes time. This burns out my eyes. This is not a joke. I'm sitting here hearing things move. There you go. Right? Punjabis can benefit with the underground economy. Now I'm going to start writing about Dr. Barr and how Shimei was on a hospital bed, right, for 9 days, illegally embalmed, right? I took the province of British Columbia, Canada to court to address that problem because it's a serious problem, and the Punjabis are participating in that activity. Maybe not each and every one, but the temple itself condones the activity because it benefits not only the employees that are being paid by the taxpayers to do this stuff, right, in terms of, you know, there's benefits behind it because otherwise they wouldn't do it. Right? We don't know how much Dr. Barr made by taking out Shimei's organs. $100,000? $200,000? We don't know. He made something, though. Right? Including everybody else. It's a racket. And just because a government wants to throw it out doesn't mean it didn't happen. Because clearly the government itself is corrupt. So, Shimei's coming into the fray with what happened to her just because it's part of the story. That's what's happened. That's what I have proof. I have a court case number, right? Regardless of whether I took it to the appeals or not. I should have had a lawyer assigned to me. I asked to have lawyers help me with this to settle the matter. But they know that the landlords will, mix everything up, throw the tenants out. So it's easy to pick off the vulnerable ones. Even pick them off before they're even thrown out. Shimei was picked off. Sierra was picked off. Uncle John was picked off. Andre was picked off, right, to one degree or another. Definitely Amari was picked off, right? They're trying to pick me off. They've been trying to pick me off for a long freaking time. Anyway, I don't think filing a personal injury lawsuit is strong enough in light of what's happening to me and my family, because it's not just personally me that's being injured here, okay? Although I'm a major key player in it, I take the brunt of it, right? And, I'm not going to ignore that tens of thousands of other people are facing this problem. So whenever I can write it in as backup, right? Yeah, I'm going to do that. I didn't expect to put Shimei down like I'm now coming into through that video, but I'm glad that I keep it out there because it should never be forgotten, and that needs to be cleaned up. People need to go to jail. People need to lose their jobs, right, to clean that up. But will it ever happen? Probably not. Because there's too many bad people than there are good people. And that's why the bad people are never held to account, no matter what good people try to do. And what I just showed you is somebody good trying to do something good, not only for herself and her family. I'll never get Shimei back. But if I can prevent the murder of other people's children for the purpose to have their organs harvested by corrupt individuals that operate with institutional racism within their mindset when it comes to being a separatist group to a particular religion, and in this case it would be Sikhism, then yeah, I'd give it a shot. I'd give it a shot. Don't come to Canada looking to get rich off of the blood of the most vulnerable, because somehow you've infiltrated the government to be your gatekeeper to your evil and heinous activities, just so that you can convince yourselves that your religion is superior to everybody else around you across the world. Okay, I decided to do this, give respect where respect is due. When a man is brave, the last thing you want to do is portray him as a coward or hide him away like a dirty secret, right? So with that said, we're at the temple now, walking through the halls.
Echoes, echo, echo. It's okay. Yeah. It's a big place. Very big place. See? Didn't say nothing. Okay, well, I'll turn off the camera before I go in. I would not go in there. I had no intentions of doing that. Are you supposed to go in there? I want to record what's on the table then. I won't go inside with you. I'll just record on my...
Hold on a minute. Okay, so now I'm sitting down. Just trying to wrap my head around things here. Getting a little emotional, thinking about Shimei and Sierra and Uncle John and yada-de-ya, Mr. Gill. Right? See this chair? A couch or whatever? This guy, he comes, he sits, and he's looking right into the camera. And I'm just getting this feel that he's seen me before. He knows more than he's saying in terms of, he knows I've tried over the years to be a community activist for all the right reasons. Okay? And he's probably a community activist for all the right reasons within his own realm. Right? But maybe, you know, not so easy for him either, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Watch all Mr. Gill's friends go in. He's got a lot of friends. Yeah. Lots of friends. Nobody's saying that. Yes, I am. Mr. Gill, oh yeah, he was my landlord. Yeah, I'm just saying what good friends he has. It's this first time I've been in this situation. Yeah, I'm going in. It's a very one-time experience for me. It's my memories. Yeah. Yeah. I want to start crying. Pretty soon. Keeps up. Right? He flew to India every year. Yeah. And
It's this man right here.
last year he went to California.
Maybe this man, I'm not sure.
Lots of friends.
Yeah.
I actually cried after I got off the phone when they told me he died, and I'm gonna start crying again. I did. Because it just, yeah, probably.
See?
Makes me think of Shimei, right?
He finds his way to the chair and he sits down.
And I never cried for...
This man's got courage. He wants to say something.
Mr. Gill makes me cry.
Seriously.
And when I cry for him, I think of Sierra. So in some ways, it's a good thing that he makes me cry, because at least I'm crying for my daughters now. That's good. I had to be, what is that called, strong, you know? Yeah.
I've met him before somewhere. I don't know where. And it was done in and around a community activist situation.
Lots of friends.
I don't know who he is.
I'm not taking the camera in. I just...
Per se,
Yeah, no.
outside of, I've met him before. He recognized me.
This is once in a lifetime.
Yeah, I swear, I feel like he wanted to say something to me too.
I wouldn't say love.
And that's why he just planted himself right there.
You never know.
And he wasn't shy, wasn't ashamed, wasn't scared, wasn't worried, wasn't annoyed, wasn't feeling intimidated by it, didn't feel threatened.
Being in a funeral like this.
If anything, he wanted to be noticed. And in my mind, that's the way I see it.
Funeral,
Right?
right?
Clearly he walks in his own shoes.
Yeah, yeah. When you look at your
Right?
mom's
He's not ashamed. You know?
compared to this funeral,
Right?
a big difference.
I mean, he's not a young man. He looks like he's a little older. So he's probably a wise man. Right? And he just stayed put. Right? Kept looking.
I have a hat on.
But that's okay.
He's asking me to take off my hat. I think it's the men that put that on. So put one on for Mr.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's just...
So I'm going to end this video now. I'll do that table later. Right? I just, you know,
The men are putting it on.
I noticed that at the time when I was there, right, sitting in the chair. And it's kind of like, you know, gnawing on me, right? Because I feel like, you know, he was, you know, you get telepathic telepathic energy, you know, definitely. Okay, so he does get up and he ends up moving on. He sat there, though, for a very long time. Yeah, very long time. Okay, so I'm going to have the last word here, finish this video. So Andre's just giving me another coffee here, because I am going to attempt to go downstairs, even if it's for 2 or 3 hours. Thank you. Mark Kane is supposedly supposed to be coming by after work.
Should be.
Yeah, should be. To be doing something in the yard. Right? I don't know what.
The help me?
Yeah, well, start with the big pile of mess with the plumbers that they left there with the city. And I need those bricks so that when I start moving some of these bigger planter pots, I can put them on bricks and I can give depth to it in terms of at different heights and just whatever to make a nice little area within that pond area. You know, it would be nice if we could even have a small little pond in there, but I don't know. Maybe in the center of it, if I took out 5 feet worth of sand, that's like 3 feet wide all the way down 5 feet, right? You know, that's a lot of sand. You don't want to mess with that. You want to keep that sand because you can use it throughout planting, you know, building up soil, making for garden beds and stuff. So, anyway, not worrying about that right now. So, what I want to say, though, is I do want to finish this video. After I get it onto here, and yeah, right, then I'll go downstairs and I'll record the table. I'm going to show you Auntie Shemai's room in regards to this mouse dropping crap that I need to deal with. Andre and I, we do plan on getting a litter box down there and locking 2 cats in there at night for sure. Yeah, for several weeks, really, to be honest with you, so that they can just catch as many mice as they can possibly catch them. Yeah, because mice like to come out at night too, right? And I just got to make sure that none of those sticky traps are anywhere where a cat can come into contact with it, right? And yeah, so we're going to attempt to do that to see how well that works. And then I need to go down there, and Andre took all the VCRs, children's VCRs that I've rescued like umpteen times already, downstairs, so I want to put those away where I plan on putting them for now. And then I want to go into the kitchen now that he moved out that bed part frame of whatever it was that was from Mark Kane's bed, and he's making himself a little desk, so now I can open up the small table that has leaves on it, and then I have a table to start washing all my home can jars, right, because they're all scattered everywhere down there, because Mark Kane took my wall units and ones that he wanted anyway, and I'm short on them, and I have really no place to put them, and I can't really put anything into Shemai's room until I do more in Shemai's room to get a handle on the mice, and as I clean everything and organize and sort out, and yeah, and like it's a lot of work, people, but you know, I'm the yard, but I'm thinking I'm feeling a little safe today because, you know, otherwise I should be in the yard. Forget about the basement. You can't do nothing in the inside when you're told to go on the outside and do whatever it is, right? Doesn't matter what it is. You're outside, and once you're outside, that's it. I'm outside for, well, last time I was out for 7 hours straight. I think I came in once to go to the bathroom, and I didn't even take off my shoes. Huh. You know, I have to psych myself up for that crap. I don't want to bring him around. So if Mark Kane comes, he can do whatever, I told Andre what I want done right now, like start with the pile of the big mess that the plumbers in the city made, because I need some of those bricks that are there, that have been tossed around and should be there. I don't know. They're buried under dirt and sticks and God knows what. And I'm going to place them in the pond area where, you know, I got the bigger planter pots I can put in there, and then, you know, put some herbs and or flowers or whatever, right? It'll be a combination of both, right? And then, you know, other days I'll be going outside working on the sheds and shit. I'm still leaning more towards buying a new skill saw. If Tisha would have taken me to Home Depot yesterday, I would have bought it. No questions asked. But it was getting late, and, you know, so we didn't do it. So Thursday, she's going to take me on Thursday. So I'm going to buy some cement so I can cement in the rails or whatever, finish the little bit of the walkway that needs to be finished up, right? Whatever. And maybe even an extra bag, honestly, an extra bag, or maybe, well, I'll do 2 bags to start with. And I'll think about taking the chain link fence that I have in the back, and I should have also a roll of chain link fence behind Mr. Lace's cat. Okay, so what happened was the SD card filled up. Don't ask me how it does that, because it's supposed to be 28 gigabytes. And that's not 28 gigabytes in terms of what I got in terms of video on here right now. So, as I was saying, chain link fence, because I just looked at, okay, there should be a roll of it to some degree or another behind Mr. Lace's cat house, which would suffice to do fence repairs, at least over there where it's a big problem. And I need a couple of 2x4s just to reinforce what's still standing, right? You know what I'm saying? And technically, honestly, I have outside paint. It's kind of a gray color, but I'm not worried about the paint right now, per se, as I am about, believe it or not, after all these years, fence repairs wherever I can. So, you know, when I was talking about getting an extra bag of cement, you know, you might have to cement in a post to just reinforce the chain link fence. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Not that I should be thinking about that, because I don't know. I don't want to get snide. So I'm gonna end this video now, and then not worry about converting it and all this stupid crap. Or maybe I'll just upload this and get it on there and then just get on with my day. But Andre's with Mark Kane's coming over to bring up some little computer desk that Andre ended up is making from Mark Kane's old bed frame. And he's cleared out the living room. He's so proud of himself. He's all excited to get this done with. And it gets me going with clearing out more stuff to make more space for Amari, quote unquote, in the living room. But I really just need to get it downstairs even for an hour or two, but I feel like crap because, you know, this stuff burns me out. You know, it doesn't take much to burn out my eyes these days. And just the weight of the information that I'm having to deal with. And, you know, I went through this with, oh, you don't even know the effort I put in for Uncle John's lawsuit. You don't even know. And you don't know the effort I put in fighting for Andre and Sierra when all that happened with him when he was little. Right? Just the whole 9 yards. If I would have known that my life was going to go in that direction, I just wish I would have been a little more educated around the field, I suppose, of being a judicial representative, I don't want to say lawyer, but at least have a handle on it in a judicial sense, where it's not so easy for people to treat you as a pushover, you know. But this time, if it goes in this direction and it actually gets filed, whatever it is that I'm working on, assuming that I live long enough to file it, because this is not a game, or a C for that matter, I suppose. When it gets thrown out of court, because you know it will, because the whole system is corrupt, by hook or by crook, I will find a way to make sure it goes through the appeal process, at least in principle, where it goes in front of 3 judges before it gets thrown out again because of the corruption within the whole judicial system itself. So there, that's the end of this video for now. We'll record the table and whatever's going on in Shimei's room with the mice droppings and everything else on the next video.